on, Wolf. This is going to be over. Lions are going to win it. Lions are bringing the NFC North title back to Detroit.
All right. Well, as you heard at the end of that intro, that is the goal. Every single season from here on out, the Lions, they need to win the division as often as they can and make it to the playoffs. But this year, 2024, I don't think that there's one Lions fan that's going to accept anything less. Now, why am I saying that? Because we've just had a tumultuous couple of days where a lot of Lions fans are confused. Dare I say some are kind of pissed off, wondering what's going on. Why is Brad Holmes kind of standing down, not doing a whole lot, and grabbing what are considered second-tier guys as opposed to the top-tier guys? Now, those of you that have been listening to this channel for a while, you know that I expected the second-tier signings. I thought that it was going to be a good financial move, but I've seen it a little bit differently too. I've seen some longer-term deals, at least not so many one-year prove-it deals. That's what people call it. But in my opinion, I don't think that they're prove-it deals. I don't think that these are deals that he's going to then re-sign these players the following year. I think that this is a significant strategy to Brad Holmes, his method, and what he's trying to accomplish. So I think that it's going to be the norm. But here's something that I just thought about. On the way home, I was thinking for a second. I was like, man, so DeAndre Swift heads over to Chicago. He had a pretty good taste of the offense and what the offense was trying to do. Now, granted, this last season, he wasn't around for, the bigger install of the Ben Johnson offense. So for that reason, I don't think that he can affect us a whole lot. But then you've got CJ Gardner-Johnson going back to Philly, which, by the way, I told you guys was going to happen. I didn't say, that he was going to land at Philly, but I told you that he was exiting the Lions. He wasn't coming back. It makes me worry just a little bit, like how much of these one-year guys are going to go to these new teams or back to their old teams and spill the beans. This is what they're doing. This is the schemes that they're running. This is what they're trying to accomplish on this down. And it makes me wonder how impactful that could be or detrimental that could be to the Lions' future. And in not giving too much ammo to the other teams around the league by having these one-year guys come in and then they exit with your game plan. Am I crazy for thinking that? Does anybody disagree or agree? I mean, do you see a problem with it? Because I don't see a lot of these one-year deals around the league anywhere else. I mean, you get a few of them, yeah. There's a rash of them usually in the last day or, when you have to fill your roster up and you've got everybody else. But the Lions continually sign one-year guys. And rarely do they get re-signed for the next season. So let me actually pop out the chat here on YouTube. It's a little bit easier to see. We'll see who we got in here tonight. And thanks for sticking around tonight. We had a power outage again today. High winds. I can only assume that's what knocked it out, but that's what knocks out the internet. So we don't have a generator out here. So we got James in the house. Lone Wolf, Savvy, that's a new name. What's happening? Vincent Somes or Soames. I remember Tobin wrote. Al Torrey, Steve K, Lone Wolf, Full State Farms, Michael Jordan, Dom the Bandit. Who else we got in here? Chayman, Tracy. Better the Hunt. Hey, just got in. Nice to see you in here. We've got Packed House, Braylon Dennis, Kevin, J-Rod, Appreciate you guys all coming in for this late podcast night. But let's wrap up day 2 a little bit. I'm going to do my best to work with the chat tonight and see, how well we can try to cover day 2 a little bit. And I mean, this is kind of just a last minute throw together podcast because I had no internet. I really didn't do much research today. But the last thing that I heard, obviously, that the Detroit Lions had signed Amik Robertson. I did do a live reaction to that earlier today. I do like this pick, even though he is undersized, or you like this signing, I should say. Even though he is a bit undersized, the difference for somebody being undersized in the NFL is coming to college and being undersized is a big risk. Already in the NFL and playing at a high level, much less risk. So for that reason, I'm good with it. And I think that he does have, pretty darn good potential in the slot there to help out this team. And at the end of the day, I mean, these are all depth signings anyway. Every single one of these guys has to earn their way on this team. You know what I mean? Every single one. Braylon Dennis super chat shout out says, Will, we've re-signed Dan Skipper. Happy about that. You know that I am, because I think you guys heard me the other day when I said I'd love to have Skip back. I think that he's a great foundational piece of this team. He's kind of part of this core. He's been around and around and around for a while. And I think that it's critical to have those guys around. He may not get a ton of snaps, but the guy is a pit bull and a bulldog and a bull mastiff all put together in one. The dude is vicious, man. He's a baller. I like him. I really do. I love his attitude. Great locker room guy from what I hear. So good to see him back. You've got to have those guys on the team. No matter what people think, some of these guys they're there again for the depth and the experience. Being inside this system will lend to better games being played, or, more understanding of the offense or the defense, being able to teach the younger guys.
There's the snap, there's the knee. That's one. You stand up, Jared. Put those arms in the air. Put those arms in the air, 16.
You put those arms in the air, number 16. That's right. Yeah, so Braylon, our D-line, I don't know if it's going to be super trash yet. I'm not excited that, we don't have a top-tier defensive tackle or defensive end on the right side, but we don't know what we don't know right now, right? We don't know who Betts is. Betts could come flying off this page in this first game and completely dominate. He could be that diamond in the rough that we just don't know. So I'm going to hold out hope that Matthew Betts even makes this team. He's not a lock to make the team right now, but I'm going to hold out hope. And I'm also going to hold out hope that we get somebody in the draft. At this point, I think that Brad Holmes is backing off pick 29. I really do. But I'll make my final decision the night before the draft. That's when my final thoughts will come out, and I've got to stick to it. I got to stamp it and roll with it. But let me see what you guys are saying in here. J-Rod says, I don't feel like standing up with my arms held high at the moment. Thanks, though. Tracy says, I have a gut feeling that Betts is going to be a beast, man. I hope so. When you watch his tape, it gives you that notion that he's going to bring that energy to this team and carry this team in many different ways, but with leadership and in the way that his passion, I mean, you can see it on the field. The guy's motor, it just doesn't stop running. And some of the plays that he makes are pretty incredible, pretty acrobatic. And I think that, those types of skills are going to be highly utilized at the next level here. Now, he may look like everybody else out there, because everybody in the NFL is, top tier, honestly, even though that we've got different tiers of guys in the NFL. I mean, these are the best athletes in the world. So outside of the ones that are unknown and not playing in the league that, maybe never got their shot, there's still guys around that we've never even heard of. Yeah, Kevin, Chase Young still being available is a shocker, is it not? I think that it might not be a shocker. Either he's asking too much money, or when the reports came out that he was a slacker and was going to get benched before the Super Bowl and not start, I think that hurt his credibility. I think that it hurt his stock big time. And maybe it's coming back to bite him right now. Maybe nobody wants to pay him, big time money. Or, hey, maybe Brad Holmes is trying to work something out. Who knows? When you're after this point of free agency, tomorrow is it. So his contract becomes open and he'll be released. And at that point, he can do whatever he wants anyway. But he's going to want to land on a team. So he's going to have to give. He's going to have to give something. So let's talk about the big elephant in the room, Danielle Hunter. The Texans, they might make it to the Super Bowl in 2024, and I'm being dead serious. They last year during the draft, I said that the Texans were going to be the breakout team of the year, and they were. This year, I said that I see the Arizona Cardinals kind of being last year's Texans. In 2024, I see the Cardinals making a big jump. But man, did they just get amazing in a hurry. If CJ Stroud comes back in 24 and has another year like he did in 23, and now you've got Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson, I mean, they're going to be unstoppable. Those two bookends. And guess what? Guess who plays them? The Lions do. We traveled to Texas. Don't know what week yet, but we take on the Texans in Texas, and you better believe I'm going to be there. I want to see this defense work. It's the Lions better beef up this offensive line in a hurry. Right now, I'm 50-50 on if hey, Days, man, hey, good to see you in here. Hey, I've actually got to talk to you, man. Do me a favor. I got a new phone and I lost your info. If you wouldn't mind emailing me, I'll put my email in the chat here. I'd appreciate it, man. And I might even have your email already, but honestly, I didn't look in my email. I got some questions on computer stuff and need to finally build that machine. Good to see you in here, man. Hope you're doing well. So anyway, let's talk about this Danielle Hunter thing a little bit. I don't think that there was any reason that Brad Holmes should have spent that kind of money. I think a lot of these guys got overpaid. Doesn't mean that I wouldn't want him on the team, but you guys heard me on record numerous times saying, the AJ Epinezas, the Bryce Huff, though that kind of tier, that's what I expected the Lions to get. Now, I did not expect a Marcus Davenport at all to be our defensive end. I mean, I at least expected somebody that doesn't miss as many games as they play. Like Carlton Davis missing 23% of his games over the last 6 seasons. It's kind of a problem. And it's not like we got these guys cheap at all. We're paying a premium for these guys. So it's a little baffling to me. It really is. I really thought that this was going to be a year where the Lions were a destination station, and I still believe that. So my question is, what happened? I mean, did we seriously just want to overpay for second tier guys? And I hope that they prove me wrong. I really do. And I hope I get a chance to meet them and talk to them, maybe have them on the show. And they'll understand that that's just part of the job. You've got to be a little bit critical because we all look at the stats and we look at the tape and we don't see it line up all the time. So I'm hoping that, there's a big surprise there, because the Danielle Hunter type of energy and dominance and that caliber of play, that's what we're missing. Now, you know that I wanted that kind of caliber play as a defensive tackle because the defensive tackle is the way to the quarterback. And if you stack the middle and you've got Aiden, they're going to have to pay attention to the middle first. So you need to overload somewhere. And if you don't, you're going to be in the same position that you were this last season where you're not able to get to the quarterback. So I didn't expect Danielle Hunter. As things kind of whittle through free agency and all the players start disappearing, and then you're like, all right, who's left? We got Danielle Hunter. And I don't think DJ Reader's been picked up yet either. And you guys know I'm not high on Reader either. But based on the guys that we're bringing in that have significant injury history, I guess why not? Why not add another one that has all these injuries? I don't know. Nick P says, I think you should watch all 22 film breakdown on Carlton Davis. I have watched a lot, and I've done a lot of my own breakdown too. Now, he does some things great. Don't get me wrong. It's not so much about his play on the field. Is he going to make it to the field? That's the question. When he plays well, he plays well. And he has great technique. He's a ball hawk, even though he doesn't get a ton of interceptions. He makes the play on the ball. Great at, defending the pass, breakups, all that stuff. He's phenomenal at that stuff. Got the prototypical size, good length, decent speed. So he checks a lot of boxes. I'm not totally out on Carlton Davis, but what I am out on is the fact that he missed 23%, 23 games in the last 6 years or 6 seasons. 23% of the 99 regular games that he could have played in, he missed. And in the last 3 seasons, he missed 16 games. So that's concerning to me that you're paying this guy $14.5 million and he might play, 3/4 of the season. We need guys on the field. Remember, your best ability is availability. And so far, the number 1 and number 2 guy that we signed or we're going to sign tomorrow evening, their availability is not that great. So that's the only reason why I question it. I don't question his ability, just the availability part. So at the end of the day, though, when you look at the DB room now, it is improved. On paper, if they were to be in the game, it is improved 1,000%. I do agree with that. Both of those guys are better than Chase Lucas. Both of those guys are probably better than Jerry Jacobs, even though it's pretty lateral compared to Davis and Jacobs. I couldn't say that Amik Robertson is better than CJ Gardner-Johnson, but that's pretty much who's going to be our slot corner. He's not a safety. I think Brian Branch is probably going to slide back to CJ Gardner's spot. Possibly. There's still some kinks to work out. I still think that Brad, where I said we needed 2 impact players in this draft, now we need 3. We need 3. That means he's got to hit a home run again. Oh no. Steve K says projected IR list week 3. Davis, Martin, Mosley, and Davenport. That is terrible. Is that something that you're saying, Steve, or is that something that's out there? Because I have seen reports like that where like DeAndre Swift was supposed to be like an 85% chance of injury in 2022. And it happened. He was injured quite a bit. James says, yo, you all must think they have all the money in the world. You are all crazy. We did better than Minnesota and they lost Hunter. So what's the big deal? We did better than Minnesota? Dude, Minnesota is, they got Jonathan Greenard, Andrew Van Ginkel, 2 of the best defensive ends, outside linebackers last season. They got Blake Cashman, another high-end linebacker. Aaron Jones, an extremely good running back. They just signed Brandon Powell, decent wide receiver, punt returner. Now, Sam Darnold, not sold on him, but they're probably going to try to get a quarterback in the draft. And dare I say, it could be JJ McCarthy. So no, right now the Lions are not doing better than anybody. I mean, the Packers, the last two guys that I knew, they signed Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney. Xavier McKinney is better than any quarterback that we signed, and he's a safety. Now the Bears, on the other hand, I don't have all the notes on the Bears yet, but they signed safety Kevin Byard, DeAndre Swift. Sorry, that's not going to work out for them. But I haven't looked at all of the signings yet. I just haven't had enough time, to get on the internet to make all my notes on that. But I would highly disagree with you there that we did better than the Vikings. Just because they lost Hunter, they added 3 guys that are pretty damn good. So now you've got 3 guys that are really good instead of 1. Even if they're 75% as good as Hunter was, you got 3 times that on the field, though. They were much better than the linebackers and edge rushers that they had, outside of Hunter. So it's going to be a tough NFC North. To think that, what we saw out of Jordan Love, I was not sold on him at all. That first meeting we had with them in week 4, I mean, he looked terrible. The end of the season, do look like a mere image of Aaron Rodgers. Totally did. Go back and watch the tape on him. I mean, everything that his mannerisms, his body language, everything looked like a mere image of how Aaron Rodgers would set up the pass. Jordan Love's going to be good. Aaron Jones is in Minnesota. He's not with the Packers. But they got Josh Jacobs instead. And I think Josh Jacobs is better than Aaron Jones. The Vikings fans are not happy about the quarterback. No, Sam Darnold, he's not good, but they need somebody that has veteran leadership and experience to come in and set the stage right now until they grab a quarterback in the draft. And I'll put the full first round out, the night before the draft. And I'm probably going to peg a quarterback to the Vikings more than likely, unless they do something between now and then. Bruce Morton says it was a Cinderella season for the Lions. They will not make it next year because your GM don't want to get the talent and spend any money. So let's transition here for a second. Let's talk a little bit about why. Let's talk a little bit about why fans are so enamored by Brad Holmes, if you don't mind. And I know I'm doing a terrible job on the chat, but you guys are flying, man. You guys are sending them in left and right. It's hard to keep up. J Rod says, if we don't sign a safety in free agency and add another cornerback, do you think Will Robertson's play style, they convert him to a hybrid? You mean a Meek Robertson? No, I think he's too small, quite honestly, to play safety. I think that we're fine with safety. I mean, we will add one. We have to add one, but we have to add 2 actually, because we only have 3. So we have to add 2. But even if we have the 3 that we have, Kirby Joseph, Iffy, Melifonwu and Brian Branch, I mean, that's our starting 3 right now. I'm good with them. I would love to see, another high caliber safety brought in. That's where Xavier McKinney would have been the perfect spot for him. And he went to the Packers. Obviously, the Packers agreed with me that Xavier McKinney is a damn good safety, and the price was right. So we really got to beef up these corners and the defensive front. We have to. James says, I'll bet any of you we get first in our division. I'll make the bet right now. All right. I'm not going to make a bet against my Lions. I still think that they're going to be fine. We have a pretty potent offense. What I'm not excited about, though, is I don't want to have all these heart attack games. where it's just a blowout and each offense is just scorching the defense and it goes down to the last possession. I can't stand too many of those games. I mean, I love them once in a while. They're great, but like the Chargers game, man, we were commanding the whole game. And then all of a sudden, second half was just back and forth, and phenomenal game. But that's what I see happening if we do not solidify this defensive front or add some top tier corners. Quandre Diggs, yes, he would be a nice addition to come home. Here's the cool thing about Quandre. Him and Glover Quinn are tied at 24 interceptions. And so for him to break Glover Quinn's, record as the Detroit Lion, I think that would be kind of cool. At least for Quandre, not for Glover. But it would be nice to see Diggs back in the Honolulu Blue. I think that he still has enough in the tank, but I bet you it'd be another 1 year deal, maybe two. I don't know that we're getting worse. I think that we got better. It's just not to the extent that I think a lot of us were expecting because, and I heard, to your point when you said that we don't have all the money. We did have all the money. We had the seventh most cap space in the NFL before free agency. Seventh most. So that means the teams that are buying all of these players that had less money, how are they able to do it? They're able to do it just fine. And once you extend Jared Goff, his cap number will go from 33 million probably down to 20, 25, or it could stay the same. You extend Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think he's like what, a $3.5 million cap hit. He might go up to 5 million. But you can play with these numbers and you can make it advantageous to your team this season with big signing bonus money. And spread it out over a couple of void years. You're good. Mike Dana's available. He is one that's on my list. That's one of the guys that I first spoke about. Full State Farms, that is a true statement. The cap is not real. It's a fugazi because Brad Holmes can open up 50 million right now if he wanted to. He could restructure, renegotiate, do whatever he wants to do with these contracts, as long as the agent and the player agree, which if they want to win, they'll agree. They're still going to get paid. It just might take a little bit longer now. But there's a lot of things that they can do. All right, so let's talk a little bit about this Brad Holmes thing. So a lot of fans are enamored with Brad Holmes and feel like, this guy he's God's gift to green earth. And I will agree that he is an excellent GM, probably the best GM that has ever led this Detroit Lions team in my lifetime. And I wanted to do a comparison tonight between him and your boy Bob Quinn, and why everyone is so enamored with Brad Holmes right now. And I think it's pretty clear as to why. So let me run down some of the draft picks from Bob Quinn. Now his first draft was 2016, and it was probably his best draft, quite honestly. First round, first pick, Taylor Decker, still on the squad today. Great pick. Second pick, Ashawn Robinson, just signed a good deal today. Real good deal, like $24.5 million. I was almost on the outside thinking, man, is he a possibility to come back? But I think we got our answer. Graham Glasgow, his third pick. Graham's back on the team. That was a phenomenal pick. Miles Killebrew didn't work out. Joe Dahl didn't work out. Antoine Williams didn't work out. Jake Rudock didn't work out. Anthony Zettel didn't work out. Jimmy Landis didn't work out. Dwayne Washington, 7th round, didn't work out. 2017, first round pick, Jared Davis, clearly didn't work out. You don't take linebackers in the first round unless your name is Brad Holmes. Second round, Tease Tabor. Didn't work out. Third round, Kenny Golladay. He was pretty good up until that last season. He was kind of banged up. He completely fleeced the Giants. But if I were to give Quinn a grade on that, I would say it was probably a solid B. It was a good pickup. It just took a minute for him to get going. He worked well with Matt Stafford, but he didn't really have the skills to work with anybody else, it seemed like. Then fourth round pick, Jalen Reeves-Maybin, still on the team. So let's see, out of the first two seasons, let me count here. You got Decker, Graham, and Decker and Graham. Jalen Reeves-Maybin. So you got three that are still on the squad today. And then your fourth round, you got Michael Roberts. Didn't work out. Jamal Agnew. I mean, he was decent. Nothing special. And then you got Jeremiah Ledbetter. Didn't work out. And then Brad Kaya, whatever his name is. And then Pat O'Connor in the seventh round. Didn't work out. But then in 2018, another good pick. First round, Frank Ragnow. So that's four guys on the squad right now. And then second pick, Kerryon Johnson. He had a hot start, but nothing really that great. Really happened with Kerryon Johnson. Then Tracy Walker. So that was your fifth guy that was still on the team, but he's now gone. So we're back down to four. Deshaun Hand, Tyrell Crosby, Nick Bodden, and then TJ Hawkinson. So TJ is pretty good. And then I got the yawns for some reason. So second round 2019, Jelani Tavai, terrible pick. Will Harris, we already know the answer on that one. Austin Bryant, Omani Owarie had one lightning round in the NFL. And then Travis Fulgham, or Fulgham, whatever. Ty Johnson, Isaac Nuwadu. And then in 2020, Jeff Okudah. Didn't really pan out, but he was a decent player. 2020 second round, DeAndre Swift. Decent player. I mean, all the intangibles in the world, right? I mean, good dude, great speed, but didn't work out. Always hurt. Julian Okwara, he's gone. Didn't work out. Jonah Jackson. So Jonah was on the team up until yesterday. Logan Sternberg, Quintez Cephas, he was a mess. Jason Huntley, John Pennicini, Jashawn Cornell was his final pick as a Detroit Lion. So in all, I counted 8 pretty solid picks through 4 seasons, of which 4 are still on the team today. So why are people so enamored with Brad Holmes? Well, here's the reason. It's pretty simple. He's nailed it. And we'll look at 2021 first. First pick, Penei Sewell, rock star. Levi Onwuzurike, jury's out. So we're 1 for 1. Aleem McNeil, you could say he's a rock star. Ifeatu Melifonwu, not a rock star, but good. So that's 3. Amon-Ra St. Brown, rock star. That's 4. Derek Barnes, pretty good, not great. Jamar Jefferson hasn't worked out. Jerry Jacobs, terrible. So just in his first draft alone, he got 3 rock stars and 2 so-sos. Is that right? No, 1, 2, 3 rock stars and 2 so-sos in his first draft. So 5 really good players that are still on the team today. So in all of Bob Quinn's, drafts, right? 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20, 5 drafts. He had 8 pretty darn good players. In Brad Holmes' first draft, he nails 5 picks. Let's go to 2022. Now, mind you, they made an incredible trade to be able to do some of these things. First pick, Aiden Hutchinson. Now we've got 6. Jamison Williams, jury is still out on him, but he's a pretty good player. And I think that he'll develop into a pretty better than average player. So that'd be 7 guys. Josh Paschal, jury's still out. Joseph, good. Mitchell, nothing. Malcolm Rodriguez, incredible rookie season. Hell of a dog. I think he's a good player. I'm not going to put him, off to the side. So that's 9. James Houston, incredible rookie season. Hurt his sophomore year. Because he had such an amazing rookie season, I'm going to have to put him, in the running for the 10th guy that Brad Holmes has drafted. Chase Lucas hasn't worked out. So in 2 drafts, he's selected 10 guys that, for all intents and purposes, were starters or could have been starters had they not been injured, the ones that were injured. And by now he's got 6 rock stars drafted so far. So now we get into this draft. I mean, I don't think that I really need to go through this one, but come on now. Jahmyr Gibbs, rock star. Jack Campbell, rock star. Sam Laporta, rock star. Brian Branch, rock star. Hendon Hooker, gonna be a rock star. Hasn't played yet. Broderick Martin hasn't played. Antoine Green hasn't done enough. Kobe Sorsdahl hasn't done enough. Another 4 rock stars in this draft. That is 14 rock stars in 3 drafts. 14 starters. So, again, this is why I've always said we are half a draft or half a season away. Last year, about halfway through the season, I said we just needed one more draft. Because the way that he's drafting, even if you were to take the average, he's probably going to get 4 more rock stars in this draft that we don't see coming. Now, last year, I called just about every single one of these picks until he got to Broderick Martin. That one, obviously, I didn't have a clue on. And I wanted Mafi over Sorsdahl. So, I guess what I'm saying, this is why people are enamored with Brad Holmes. He drafts well, very well. And to compare what has happened to the Detroit Lions in the past and what's been going on the last 3 seasons, I think this is why we have to trust him just a little bit that he's going to do some great things in the draft. So we have to hold out hope that he has a big plan and he'll do just fine. So now I think I'd like to turn this over to you guys in the chat. And what questions or statements, what things would you like to talk about tonight? I mean, you guys have been going nuts in here. There's so many messages. It's insane. Better the Hunt says, seriously, we don't know. I'm a glass half full guy. It's a good place to be. Is Kevin Zietler still available? I don't even know who that is. Great Lakes State guy in Michigan says, absolutely ridiculous. We didn't grab Hunter. A 2-year deal would have been perfect. I don't get it at all. Not happy. Justin B says Brad Holmes is trash. That's not good. Applying pressure says our defense cannot compete with the big dogs. Not yet. Not yet. But I mean, look at what Brad Holmes is doing though. And I'm sure, look, I can tell a lot of you guys are salty in here. And you're upset. And I get it. And I can't make you feel better. I mean, I was pissed off too yesterday. By the time I think I got to the third live, I was furious because I was just watching my board just get crushed. I kept putting strike through. And I'm like, geez, oh, Pete's like, come on, Brad, just one guy, just one. If you would have just got one, I think everybody would have been elated, good to go. Even if you only got one guy out of the entire free agency, I think everybody would have been happy. Rock stars of the game seems like a segment for next season. It is. Hey, that's great, man. I'm gonna have to write that one down. Will Rock's rock stars. Let's see. Matt N says if Brad makes a big splash, it will cost him some of those draft picks that are dudes. Yeah, rock stars. That's right. How many of those top free agents did the Chiefs get? I haven't even heard anything about the Chiefs, quite honestly, but they signed Jones. So, keeping Jones in-house, I mean, that's big time. Let's see. L'Jarius Sneed 5 hours ago says that he hopes that he will be back with the Chiefs in 2024. That's interesting. So it looks like the Chiefs added Irv Smith Jr. And I'll tell you who got really good today. The frickin' Ravens. Like, I've got visions right now running through my head of Derrick Henry out blocking for Lamar Jackson. Not the other way around. Like, that is insane to me. The Ravens are going to be tough. I mean, they were already tough. They're going to be tough. The Texans are going to be tough. Real tough. All right, I want to get this free agency tracker up here for Kansas City. Let's see who they got. So Willie Gay went to the Saints. They lost Willie Gay. He only got a $5 million deal. Wow. Come on, Brad. Deion Bush is returning to the Chiefs. Tight end Irv Smith Jr. Has got a 1-year deal with the Chiefs. And wow, the Commanders are having a hell of a free agency, man. Frankie Louvu, Austin Eckler, Dorrance Armstrong, Tyler Biadasz, Nick Allegretti. Like, I was surprised that the Lions didn't go grab Allegretti. And then Brandon McManus. I mean, come on, we needed a kicker. I know he's, a little bit older, but yeah, either I'm just not seeing it, but they re-signed 4 of their exclusive free rights guys. Nobody real interesting there. I mean, Mike Caliendo's decent. The big one is Jones. I mean, that was the most important thing. The large majority of their team is staying together. So I guess hopefully that answers your question. I don't really follow the Chiefs a whole lot. But yeah, Brad is penny pinching a little bit. You would think. Maybe it's not penny pinching. I think he's culture pinching too much. That's just my opinion. I think that he's spending too much time identifying all these culture fits, and maybe we just need a couple of guys that just want to play ball. And you know what? If they're a little bit rough around the edges, look, you're signing these guys to 1-year deals. They're going to be out of there in a year. How much is it really going to hurt? And it's, I'm not surprised that CJ Gardner's gone. I mean, I knew that the move was going to happen, but when I put that viral video out that I caught in the stands, of CJ Gardner-Johnson and Kirby Joseph kind of going at it, jaw-jacking a little bit on the sidelines during the game. I don't know if you guys seen that, but that was my video that I took from my seats. And it started to make me think that maybe CJ was bleeding a little bit too much in the locker room. Or maybe he was overstepping his bounds a little bit because he had such a good relationship with AG that he felt like maybe, he was second in command. You know what I mean? Instead of being a leader, maybe he was just kind of being bossy or something. But whatever was going on, it seemed like something wasn't right. Now, I never got any feedback about that incident. Nobody would comment on it. And I mean, it is what it is. So, Esoteric G-Man says Brad Holmes is going to make some trades to get 2 first-round picks this year. Players he wants that can play now. So, let me ask you a question on that. Who are we going to trade? Who would we trade away from our team to get some first-round picks? Because there's only 2 players, maybe 3 at most, that they could net some first-round picks. St. Brown, Aiden Hutchinson, Jared Goff, Penei Sewell. That's about it. I would say that that's about it. Maybe Taylor Decker, but I doubt it. Highly doubt it. So I don't know who else we would trade. We're not trading Hooker. He's not even probably worth a 3rd-round pick, which is what we got him for, because he hasn't played. He hasn't done anything. If you got his value back for what you got him for in the draft, I would be surprised. JMO's probably worth, I don't know, a 3rd-round pick, maybe not a 1st. Definitely not trading Gibbs. Definitely not. Demo, I mean, we could have traded, Montgomery, but I doubt you're going to get a 1st for him too. But then there goes your team. Why would you trade away guys that you brought in that fit your mold and your culture, that work well with everything that you do, offense or defense, had an incredible season? You're not going to trade those guys away. So I hope there's not somebody out there saying that that's happening, that they have sources that that's going to happen, because that's not the Brad Holmes way. Now the thing that I have floated out there, and this was just me being funny, but also realistic, is from a business side, it would make sense to trade Jared Goff. If you really thought that Hendon Hooker was the next guy to lead this team, right now, Jared Goff is worth 2 first and a 3rd. Exactly what Matt Stafford got. Jared Goff is worth it right now. And somebody would pay it. So if you're thinking about the team first, Jared Goff would be gone. If you're thinking you're going to make it back and you're going to attempt to go to the Super Bowl this season, Jared Goff stays. Yeah, Hooker, he hasn't done anything yet. I mean, trust me, I pegged him to the Lions in multiple videos. There's a receipts video that I put up on the YouTube channel about a month ago, and it goes over, you'll see there's a kind of a transition there, like my old setup to my, where I'm at now. And it was terrible audio, terrible video. But I was talking about, all of the draft picks and all the guys that I would take and all the guys that I felt that were good fits for the Lions. And it was, the Brian Branch, it was Jahmyr Gibbs. It was all of them. It was the first 5 picks. Obviously, nobody saw Broderick Martin. Nobody even knew who he was. Matter of fact, when we took him, I was kind of like, who is this guy? Couldn't even find him. Yeah, so dismantling the offense would be crazy. I agree with you, Robert. That's why it's just a realistic notion of this is what I would do if I thought that there was any chance that I couldn't make it back and you were not going to extend Goff, then he's got 1 year on his deal. Where's a quarterback needy team that's got some money and some draft picks? And then you go do what you do. Obviously, you would have to draft another quarterback. And Hendon Hooker would have to be the guy for now, unless you bring in a veteran. Maybe Joe Flacco. Hopefully not. And, you know, I mean, that's just, it's possible. Anything's possible. But I'm not saying that it's going to be done. Who will Kendall Fuller sign with? Man, that's the question of the day for me. Does Brad go 3 for 3? Does he grab another corner? Does he grab another safety in free agency tomorrow? I don't know. So tomorrow, I can't remember what time it actually starts. Is it 4:00 New York time tomorrow or noon? 4:00. So 4:00 tomorrow, New York time, is when the new league year starts. So that's when, you know, all hell's going to break loose. It's going to be a flurry of signings, you know, right after 4:00. The guys that are probably going to be signing with Detroit should be flying into Detroit. And we should get some press conferences hopefully tomorrow. But we'll see. We'll see how they do it this year. So right now, what do you guys think are the biggest needs left on this team? And who are the biggest players available? So if I were to go over my list, and you'll have to beg my or forgive my naivety because I haven't been able to check. Danielle Hunter, we know, is gone. DJ Reader, look, Lions have been linked to Reader kind of throughout the first day of legal tampering. And then after missing out on Christian Wilkins, it seems like Reader would be a logical choice. I'm not sure about logical fit, but we do need some interior defensive tackle help. Last season with Cincinnati, Reader managed 34 tackles and 1 sack from the nose tackle position. And by acquiring him, the Lions could free Aleem McNeil up to handle other duties on the defensive interior. And I would say that's Broderick Martin's position, is more of like a nose tackle type of player on this defensive line. Even though the 4-3 doesn't really use a nose tackle, he's just big like that. I'm not high on Reader because of the injuries. You guys know that. Did Laken Tomlinson get re-signed? Does anybody know? Anybody know if Laken Tomlinson got re-signed? Because we do need a guard. What am I missing in here? What are we talking about? Games this weekend? I'm missing something. You guys are having some fun in here or something. I missed it. Oh, I see. Applying pressure's message. Defense wins games. Offense sells tickets. I mean, that's a good theory, but if you've followed this channel at all, you know that we did some stats on that. And I think you would be surprised that over the last 15 years, the best offenses have won the Super Bowl. So usually it's a better offense and a worse defense. Now, there's only been a couple of seasons where it was the other way around. So it used to be defense, defense, defense. And since the NFL made changes to the rules over the middle and protected the wide receivers, that's why St. Brown is so good over the middle, because he's not supposed to get hit. Same thing with Laporta. They're not supposed to get hit. Now, it does happen because players get pissed off that, these guys are just running through the middle and doing whatever they want. Back in the day, 80s and 90s, early 2000s, man, those big safeties and linebackers, they made their money over the middle. They laid guys out. Some of the best football videos ever to exist. Biggest hits over the middle. I mean, bone crunching hits. I don't know if I miss those days. I got laid out a couple of times going over the middle. I was kind of small. I didn't really grow until my junior year. That's why I was a big time baseball player. So Laken Tomlinson, I think he's still available. Let's see here. So he was released, and I think he's still free. I'm not seeing anything. I'm not going to go digging for it. But at this point, I mean, I'd like to see him get another guard. I think that would be a great pull. Bring him back. But then again, I don't know. Brad might be a little snobbish towards, bringing back some of the old guys. So who's left for offensive line? Did Tyron Smith get picked up by anybody? So I wish I would have been able to do more research earlier, but because I was making a list and then we didn't have internet, and this was my entire list was this. I was thinking, well, obviously Danielle Hunter, DJ Reader, Laken Tomlinson, Tyrone Smith, Calvin Ridley, which wouldn't happen. Kendall Fuller, Marquise Brown, possibility. At linebacker, potentially Patrick Queen, Eric Armstead, Chase Young, even though I'm not high on his motor effort. Jonah Williams, offensive tackle, Cincinnati Bengals. Justin Simmons, safety, Denver Broncos. So those were all guys that I was thinking that were still left on the board. And that was like 9 hours ago when I was making this list. And a lot's changed since then. So as of 4 hours ago, NFL put this out that the top free agents still available. Says Calvin Ridley, Kendall Fuller, Tyron Smith, Cameron Curl, safety, Chase Young, Jonah Williams, Stephen Gilmore, Jadeveon Clowney, Trent Brown, offensive tackle, Marquise Brown, and that's it. That was their top 10. So there's still a few players around. And someone mentioned Khalil Mack. So nice work, Jeff. Good call. What happened to Jay Mayfield? I don't know. I don't even know who that is. So someone mentioned Mack, and here's the deal on Mack. If he gets cut, which I'm pretty sure he hasn't been cut yet, if he gets cut, he might be an interesting option for the Lions. I wouldn't trade for him because it's a giant waste of money and then draft capital. So he's got to get cut. That's the only way it works. If he gets cut and then is willing to come, to town for like 15 mil, I would do it in a heartbeat. But he's getting old, man. But he had an incredible season last year. But a lot of that is because the Chargers' defensive line's pretty good, or at least it was. And I think that, between him and Aleem and Aiden Hutchinson, and if Mathieu Betts turns turns out to be something, I think the Lions will be right there in the thick of it. I think they'll be all right. You know, I said in the beginning of free agency a couple weeks ago, prior to free agency, I mean, that we are only like 2 players away on the defense from being really good. A really good shutdown corner, or at least somebody that can stay, you know, sticky and handle these number ones and keep them to a minimum, you know, like keep them under 80 yards. Give up 80 all day, but not this 140, 200 crap. That's got to stop. And then we needed a defensive tackle, a really good defensive tackle. And if we could have just got those 2 positions, we would have been fine. But now that when you look at it, there's just so many holes. How are they going to fill them all? And how are we going to get exponentially better at those 2 positions inside, you know, this free agency period? I guess we need to hope that Carlton Davis stays healthy and makes it onto the field. Same thing for the defensive end that we grabbed. What was his name again? Marcus Davenport, someone that I've never even heard of. Is Reddick and Betts measurable? What does that mean, J-Rod? Hassan Reddick. So Hassan Reddick's a little small, but he produces. So anytime you have somebody, again, like I said earlier, that's undersized, but they're producing at a high level, you got to take a risk on them. You know, maybe you need to take a flyer on them and see how they develop, you know, with your team. Sheldon Rankins, great season last year. With the additions that, let me take a look at him. Let me see if he's available. Is he still available? Anyway, with the additions that the Texans made, he's probably odd man out right now. Like no chance in coming back. So as of 10 hours ago, it appears that the the Patriots were showing interest in apparently the Broncos. Huh. So he's still available too. All right. What else we got for the last few minutes here? Someone talking of Reddick responding. Okay. I didn't hear anything about Bosa being cut. I've heard that the Khalil Mack has the big potential. I don't know that the Chargers want to lose both. Bosa, I think he's supposed to get a bag this season. I think I would stay away from Clowney, quite honestly. You know, again, you're talking character issues, low motor, maybe doesn't try as hard as he should, kind of take plays off. I think I would stay away from Clowney. And he's never really been known to be a good locker room guy. It's something that's been around for a while. And then I seen someone said something about opening up phone lines. We'll do that the next time. Tonight was a throw together show. So it is Tuesday, March 12th. So I plan to be back on Thursday in the evening. Of course, we'll do some updates tomorrow, whatever happens. Maybe I'll go live right at 4. I don't even have my phone on me. Maybe I'll go live right around 4:00 so that we can kind of catch the action and see what's happening, break it down live, and stay on for maybe an hour, maybe 2. Just kind of slow roll it, see what happens. So, all right. I hope tonight was a little eventful for you guys. I know it was just kind of a throw together show, and not much happening for the Lions. You know, so far we got 3 guys. You know, let me look at one other thing. So the guys coming back needed my phone so I could look up my Twitter. I can't remember the list right off the top of my head. Come on. Well, I guess quick recap. We know that CJ Gardner is out. We know that Skipper is back. And I think that was the only two transactions, outside of re-signing Graham Glasgow on the first day, re-signing Zonovan Knight, of course, Emmanuel Mosley, Shane Zielstra, Brock Wright, tendered. I think that's really it. I'll have to dig back into it tomorrow. And then I'll definitely be on by 4, if not before, if something happens. So appreciate you guys joining me on this last second off the cuff podcast tonight. And do yourself a favor. Please check out sportspider.com. If you guys haven't yet, I promise you will love the site. Not only can you get all of your sports in one place, but you can also find us there. Rockdown Podcast Network is featured on their website now. And it's a great place to pick us up. You'll see that when we're going live, our latest videos, our latest live shows. But more importantly, if you love all the other sports, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, hockey, it doesn't matter what it is. It's on sportspider.com. That's sport, SPYDER.com. Check it out today. Get all your sports in one place. And until next time, I'll see you guys in the next show. But 4 o'clock tomorrow, we'll be on. We'll make sure that we catch the free agency frenzy wrap up, which is going to be chaotic, I'm sure. We'll do it together. All right, y'all. Take care. Appreciate you guys. The best sponsors, best supporters of this channel. You're the best. See you later.